All right, guys. So we're kind of waiting a couple seconds for people to get in here, but what we're about to do, obviously we're doing the walkthrough, but first we're gonna hand out final project teams. So kind of had made those up. I usually let Garrett and Haley do that.
Well, I am doing it.
Okay, good.
Okay, I think we actually have pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
I don't have the sheet.
We're missing one person.
Let me finish taking attendance.
Garrett, your enthusiasm sounds like it just went out the window.
I am thrilled. An hour ago, I was fine. I was like, yeah, I'll just take a bite out of an onion. It'll be fine. Now I'm realizing.
It won't be as bad as you think. Hopefully.
Yeah, what if I
think
do?
about it's gonna be worse than you think.
What if I just tank this? What if I was like, oh, onions are kind of good?
That'd be disappointing, honestly. I hope you.
Hold your nose like Andrew said. Maybe it'll taste like an apple.
No, so what I'm doing is I'm gonna take a hefty chunk of it, and then I'm gonna read out all of the teams before I'm allowed to drink anything.
That's a rule you're putting on yourself.
Yeah, so I said that I would eat the onion if everyone got their labs in on time, but this is the last lab and there's a lot of confusion about when to turn it in. So I kind of went on a technicality and I feel bad about it. So I was like, I'll just do it. Yeah, I'm almost done with attendance.
Garrett's gonna have tears rolling down his face, giving out teams.
It makes it a million times worse that like 30 people are staring at me.
Yeah. Great.
So this is the onion, you know, just for confirmation. So I just
Everyone make sure you go to view and then select speakers. So Garrett is
oh no,
as big as they can be on your screen.
Wow, I really regret this.
You got to do it. Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm just watching Garrett, and all of a sudden I just see chunks start falling out.
So what are the teams?
Someone's gonna have to take his place. He's not gonna.
Wait, you did it too fast. I didn't get to pin your screen.
He gets to do it. Go.
It's gonna be at
Still
least a
chewing.
30-week recovery period.
How does it taste?
I can't swallow.
Don't do it. You can do this.
Let's spit the rest out.
Nope.
No.
No?
Well, I've already got the burning sensation.
Okay, yeah, you're good. Go ahead then.
Yeah.
I love how he said you had to emphasize you were in pain, and then he let you.
All right.
I'm not letting him do anything. He can do whatever he wants.
All right, team one. Okay. We have Andrew Beaudry. We have Reed McLean. Jacob Sims. Eric Riggs. April Wyatt. Holy shit. And Lady Fuller. Team one, everybody. Team two. We have Turner May, Maggie Roselle, Dan Mann, good name. I'm gonna stop clapping. It's okay. Jason Loring.
And I hope you didn't forget we can't hear you clapping anywhere.
No, I know. Trey McKendry, Markel Deloach. All right, team 2. Team 3, Gage Jones, Drake Herring, Ray Sorensen, Caleb Bridges, Christopher Irvin, and William Batson. Let's go, team 3.
Take a sip, Garrett. You're stressing me out.
No, I got it. I got it.
All right.
We want the only 3 teams to go. We're like halfway there. My heart is pounding. I didn't expect it to be.
I don't think it's supposed
I
to.
didn't expect it to have this effect on my body. Team 4. We have Patrick Jones or PJ. Oops. Yunjin Jong, Hunter Hamilton, Will Hughes, Roderick Hall, and Nick Bailey. Team 5, we have David Tran, Santita Humphreys, Jacob Waters, Kurt Butler, Abigail Collins, Dalton Hall. And team 6, we have Cameron Davis, Quentin Parks, Sophie Engelbor, Nathan Harris, and Theodore Harris.
Sounds like you just got to run in a marathon.
Okay. Yeah, take a sip. Jesus.
That was awful.
Thought you were going to start hallucinating for a second.
Nice job, Garrett.
Wait, so did
Oh,
it have
you had-
honey all over it, or was that something I just made up in my head?
That was raw. That was just
okay.
a flat onion.
He
And
forgot. He forgot the honey.
I bit way deeper.
Gotta
into
redo it.
I bit way deeper into it than I intended. But like theatrics, you know.
Apparently,
Go for another one.
if you boil the onion first, it gets rid of a lot of the like astringency. So if you ever have to
Um,
do it again, you can just boil it
Glad
beforehand.
I know that now. I could have just lied.
You should have made you do like fresh ginger or like garlic.
Oh, ginger.
Spoonful of wasabi.
Spoonful of wasabi would have been good.
I've done a spoonful of wasabi before, and I hated myself for it.
That wasn't that bad. But I like spicy things. So.
Now I'll be glad that we're remote and not in person because of Garrett's breath.
No, I would like nah, yeah.
With the onion,
He's like not even going to argue. He's like, yeah.
straight onion. All right, where are we gonna? Are we gonna post the?
Yeah, I'm gonna go
like-
take a
You go ahead, buddy. Yeah.
Um,
Hey, we're gonna. What were you saying? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, where do you want to post the teams for them to like look?
Yeah, I posted them in here, but post them in Slack too.
Okay.
Just post them in the general channel. Classroom Web Dev. All right, guys. We're going to talk about more about final projects at the end. So right now we're going to do the walkthrough. Let me bring this up. Okay, so now we're going to try and take our server that we have working in Postman and make it work with our front end. So let's just npm run dev to start and see where we stand in terms of the front end. The only thing we really have here is an app.jsx that has pretty much everything in it, and a chirp card over here that renders for each item for each chirp. So we're going to break them down into the CRUD operations again from here. So we're going to try and get, let's make sure that that's working. Cool. We're first going to try and get all of the chirps on the page. That's step one. Then we're going to try and get one chirp. And I'm probably going to jump around. If you guys want me to do anything in particular, just let me know. But like if you want me to make a specific component for something or anything like that. But so far I'm thinking we'll probably need like a single chirp page, maybe, because we can do it like where there's like a, you see all of them. Yeah, I think that'll probably work like a single chirp page. So I'll probably make something like that. Then we need to be able to edit the chirps from there and delete a chirp from there and post a new one. And that should be it. So yeah, first we're going to start with trying to get all of them, and we're going to take it from there. That sound good for everybody? Cool. Alrighty. So yeah, let's try and get all of them. Let me make this actually in the browser and everything. No guarantees on how long this is going to take. I have no idea. Let's read map. All right, we're getting cannot read properties of undefined. Reading map. What did I do there? Okay, that's happening because I don't have this initialized as an array. So if I don't leave that, if I leave that empty, well, I hope not. If I leave that empty, then this value is initialized as undefined. And if I put the array in there, we're able to map over it on the initial render. Remember, React, it renders once before it runs any kind of effects or anything like that. So it's trying to map over this as an empty array. Let's refresh, make sure that that fixed that. There we go. Cool. So no chirps on here. Now let's try and fetch all the chirps and get them over there. Right. So if we want to fetch data inside of a React component, we have to do use effect. So I'm going to go pull that in. We will use effect to fetch the chirps. So I'm going to make some space right here and write out use effect. Turn off Copilot. We'll close that out. And then to make sure that this effect only runs once, we go down to our dependency array. We're just going to keep that empty right there. So I only want this effect to run one time on when the page loads and when the component, app loads the page pretty much. So empty array here. Then we're going to go in here and write. So I'm going to kind of we're going to want to fetch the chirps in different situations, or really, since we're doing a single chirp page, we could just do it in here. So I'm just going to write the fetch out in here. That should be fine. Fetch. And then I'm hitting my endpoint that we made. So http://localhost 3000/API/chirps. So let's fetch the chirps and then we'll do res. So that'll be the raw data. We'll convert that to JSON. And then another .then where we will take the now chirps parsed and set them to state. All right. And then we'll throw it at catch in case the internet fails us, because our code is perfect. It could not break.
So does res.json convert it to JSON or does it parse it from it?
Parse it. I don't know if the res.json works the other way because it seems pretty general. Body.json returns a promise. Yeah, in this case, we're using it to parse. All right, so from now, I'm not even worried about rendering them. This isn't going to render correctly, but we can go check the components and see if this is working. So this doesn't refresh automatically. I got to refresh, and we're going to pull up this inspector window and hit the app component over here. Now I can see I have a state object here, and here are our chirps. Cool. So now I have the data inside my React application, and I really just need to take this data and make sure that it's really, if these property names right here matched up correctly, I would actually already have cards. But the issue that I'm having now is that, remember back over from when we were doing just front-end chirper, we used username and message as the values. And now I'm using data that has a content and there's no user in this. So we'll actually have to go back to the API and change our request so that we get the user in there. So let's do that first. So I need to kind of reformat the query that we made back over in the server code. This right here is not enough. Select all from chirps because we also need the username, which is in the users table. So I need to make a join here and get just what we need. So I'm going to remove the star from here, and we're going to say, I want the chirp ID, the chirp content, the created. And I think location is stored on there. We'll grab it. Why not? Actually, let's just remove location. I don't need that. But we do need the user's name, right? So users.name, and I'm just entering that in as part of the query. And then over here, I need to perform the join. So join users on chirps.user ID equals users.id. Okay, so now we're doing this. If you want to be diligent, you could throw this into Workbench. So we can take this, throw it in Workbench, make sure that this does work correctly. There we go. So we're returning in data. There's a username for all these. Awesome. Everybody feeling good so far? We good? Cool. So we just had to go back and change that over. Now we're going to come back over here. Let's even just run this one more time. So refresh. I still have my array, so that's good. And now I have the actual values I need. So that is good. Let's now try and use that data that we now have in the React app and actually like get on the page. So we're going to go down to where we're creating chirp cards. So down here, we have this issue where we need to have the correct fields here. So let's say username can be username. It's coming in as name though. So let's say name right there, because that's the property coming off that. Message, we're going to rename it to content just to keep those the same. The database is called content, so I'm going to call it content everywhere. Created, it's coming from created, but there's an underscore here. So when you say underscore created like that, underscore created. All right, so now I'm passing down the properties correctly, but I need to go over to chirp card and like make sure that these are passed down in here correctly, because I'm creating the prop names here, but I need to go into chirp card and actually use them. So username, I think we just left that. Username is fine. We'll call this content. And then this is created because back over here, it's just created. Created, there we go. Let's change that to content. All right, and just this should get us with chirps on the page. Let's see what we have. Let's go refresh. There we go. So now we're fetching all of our chirps from our API and putting them on the page successfully. Yahtzee, that's probably the easiest step that we're going to get. So next we have get one single chirp, and then delete a chirp, edit a chirp, post a chirp. So maybe before we get to the single stuff, let's just try and post one. That'll be a good kind of like point, because then everything else after that, all the others, we have to have a single component for, like a single chirp component. So let's try and post one. Sorry, Garrett. All right. So we have all these fields getting entered in. Like when they type in here, and they type in here, and then I hit submit. Currently what we're doing to submit is just creating a new object like this, and then setting it to the chirps array. So we don't really want to set the array directly. We're not going to be doing that. We do want to format a new object, and that's good. And then down here, we'll make a fetch request. So fetch is able to do all of the HTTP methods. The default is like here when we're making a fetch, this just defaults to a get request. But when we do it down here, we need it to be a post request. So to be able to do that, we can just pass an options object. So it's going to be the same URL here. But when we come over here, we're going to add a comma and an options object. This is very common in a lot of like APIs and functions. You'll have extra options that you can pass as an options object, as like an extra argument onto the end of it. And here we want to set the method to post. That. So along with setting the method to post, and if you guys are out in the wild and trying to remember what to do here, fetch post example and try and look up some examples. They'll show you there's pretty much 3 things that you need to set. You need to set the method to post, the headers of the content type, application JSON. So if you're trying to send something else, it's not going to be the same here, but this is if we're sending JSON, what we want to do. And then for the body, JSON stringify, and this will be that object that we have. So come back over. Method is post, headers are an object with the content type set to application JSON like that. And then we'll set the body, because remember we're setting a request body, like this is like kind of the main payload. And here what we're trying to send is this new chirp object. So let's actually think for a second about what we need to do with this, or what's on this that we don't need, because we're sending this to the database. Our database is going to handle creating an ID. So I don't need that. It's also going to handle setting the created field. So I don't need to do that here either, which negates our need for UUID altogether. We're going to get rid of that. And I can use moment to format the timestamp, so we can leave that for now. But also what I need to think of is my property names, because remember when I'm sending a chirp and trying to post one, I have 3 columns that I have to add. I don't know if I have those in here or if I got rid of those. Yeah. So remember when I'm looking at chirps, these are the things I have to add: user ID, content, and location. So, I was thinking about that. User ID, content, location. Let's just think of an easy way to do this first. So I'm going to need to send those 3. So there has to be user ID that has to exist somewhere in there. Content. We're not going to think about the username right now. Content. And then a location. So let's just try and test this out first and just hard code these values. And we'll just say user ID 1 is making all these chirps. If you wanted to do this in like the real world where you had 2 endpoints set up, because if you guys remember, we don't have an endpoint set up to create a user. So I'm just going to have to hard code this. If I wasn't going to hard code this, I would have to go through my DB folder and make a users.js where we insert a user into the users table. I don't know. What do you guys think? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to see me do the users part, or a 0. I mean, you guys are all going to say 1, but yeah, let's see it. Yeah, here we go. Field of ones. Here we go. 1, 1, 1, 1. Yeah, let's just do it. All right. So we need to be able to add users. I don't have that ability right now, so we're kind of getting away from client. I'm going to go into my DB folder. I'm going to start here. It's because I need to be able to insert a user. Or really, we could start from Workbench. So let's try and make a query that inserts a user. Let me look at this users table. I can't even remember what's in here. So ID, name, email, password. These are all required. So I'm going to have to pass these 3. I don't even remember where I had this. Insert into users, all the fields. Yeah, there probably is something you can do to just get rid of that, Garrett. Name, email, password. Values. Whatever at something.com. And the password is the same. All right, let's run that. Make sure I got my statement correct. Got to check down somewhere. There we go. Cool. So this statement will work. Let's clear these fields out, and I'll just copy this over here. Just do that up. Whoa. Oh, that's funny. All right. So that'll work. Now we need to come over and come to our DB folder and use that. So we'll create a new file. Users.js. import my query because this is going to be formatted exactly like this one, except it's going to be for users. So import query at the top. And then we'll come down and we're going to export some stuff at the bottom. We'll go ahead and export default object. Default an object. That object is going to have in it the functions. So const insert. This is going to take a name, an email, and a password coming from Postman and then the front end. And it's going to call query, pass that statement into there, cut that semicolon off. And then we have that array of values on the right. Oh yeah, and the values I need to have my question marks. And then in here, we pass in those in order. So name, email, password. Export that out the bottom. Any questions on this? Making a user? DB stuff? Nope, 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 nope. Cool. All right, so we're exporting the users out of this. So just like we were talking about the last time, this is exported out of here. It's imported into index. So we're going to come down here in our index. Import all the user operations for the database from /users and just export it at the bottom. Again, this is just to group things up, make it a little bit easier to use in the routes. And then I need to go over into my routes folder. So now we're done with the DB folder. I'll close that. And we're making a users routes file. Again, this is similarly formatted as the chirps.js for the routes. So I'm just going to copy this whole file for chirps.js and move it over to users. Or it'd probably be better for you guys if we didn't do that. We'll just write it out as express from express. Create a router. We'll go ahead and export default the router at the bottom. And then we'll start making routes. So router.get, or really let's just deal with the post. So creating a new user. Here it'll just be slash because they're just hitting that endpoint. And then we're going to do the callback rec res arrow curly brace. And we're going to do a try catch. Again, very similarly formatted to this stuff. So if really just look at my post for creating a chirp, and it's going to be very similar. Rec.body, make the call to the database, and then res send a status. So yeah, we'll come back over here. We'll say const body equals rec.body. And then we need to import the database operation stuff that we just made. So let's go ahead and do that. Import DB from DB, get all the DB stuff. And I need to make this, yeah, so we're going to do const res equals await. I'm using await, so my callback up here needs to be async. Await db dot users dot insert. And the way that we're going to be sending all these properties here are through rec.body. So it'll be body dot whatever I called it, name. Body dot email. Trying to remember where we're at. Body dot password. Boom. And we could do some better error handling here, but we'll just say, because if it fails, it'll fall to the catch. So we'll just say, res.status 200 dot send. Or I think we decided to use JSON. Res. So we'll just send the database response back to the user from here. So they'll get the inserted row. And this is actually pretty critical here because this step, since we have, let's just think fundamentally how we have things structured. There's a table over here and a table over here. One's for chirps, one's for users. I need I have to have that user ID to insert a chirp into the chirps table. I have to have the user ID that associates with that chirp, the person who made that. So I have to insert into the users table first, get the response back, and then use that response. Well, we're going to look at what the response is in just a second, but it's going to have an insert ID property on it that we'll be able to use as the user ID for the chirp. That's what we're about to go do here, but just trying to explain a little bit. So we'll console log the error if there is one, and then yeah, that should be it. So that's it for this file. Let's move up, make sure all these routers are set up. So I have to add something here now in my index.js. And then set up a route for that. So that's going to be /users. If they go to /users, they want to use the users router. And that should be the last thing that we have to change. Nothing in here should be different because it's going to start with API, hit the users routes, go to /users, use the users router, which goes to users.js, and then we make a post. That should be it. Now we can test this in Postman. Any questions so far? You guys still good? Have I lost you? Did I lose you like 3 months ago? Maybe. All right. Here we go. So let's try and make a user. I'm going to send a post request. /API/users, right? With a post request, we're going to set the body, raw, JSON, open the object up. Now the things we send in here are name, email, password. So name. Garrett's making an account to talk about his onion biting. Email is garrett@garrett.com. Password's going to be, let's just keep it the same. Let's move on. Alrighty, then we want to send that. So we got the response back. All right, we got an error. What did I do? Oh. Route, so use is not defined in index.js. What did I do? Definitely something. Oh, so I broke something over here. My bad. No. All right, so I just left something. We came over here to do this. My bad. Send that one more time. What do we get? Anything? Res.status is not a function. Well, that's because I called this res again. I have to call that DB res. If I call this res, it's renaming this one. That's bad. Don't do that. All right, let's go and send this one more time. Another error, killing it. Converting circular structure to JSON. And then let's send this DB res back instead of res. That's not it. There we go. All right. This is what we should have seen the first time. Sorry. All right. So this is that DB res. We went and sent an insert, and this is the response back. We looked over this yesterday, but it didn't really matter. Now it's critical because this insert ID field, this is the user ID that we want to use for the chirps, right? So the front end is going to get this object back, and it's going to use this insert ID to know what the user ID is that it just made. So that's the way that we're trying to, we have one table that needs information from the first one. This is how we solve that. And the MySQL module handles, formatting this for us and doing everything for us. So thank God for that. So that kind of finishes up what we had to do in the server. Now we need to get back to app.jsx. So since I'm closing up server, I'm going to ask again, anyone want to go over anything in here again? It's really just another route, but just want to make sure. Alrighty, cool. Let's close all this server stuff. Hopefully we should be truly done with that now. But now we're over here. So we want to handle a chirp submit. I'm not going to handle, or yeah, I could probably split this off into 2 different functions, but just to keep it kind of streamlined, we're going to do both requests inside of this guy. So this handle chirp submit is going to become async. We're definitely about to do some async stuff. Before I can set this new chirp object, we're going to need to go first get the user. So let's do that. Let's copy this, fetch, because it's still a post request. It's still application JSON. The body here is going to change. So now let's say const, just like I have a new chirp object, I'm going to have a new user object. And then name, email, password. That's what we're trying to send. I don't have fields for the email and the password. I mean, what we could do is just go like make the password nullable, or we could really just go make both those fields nullable because we're just going to enter in the name. So let's just do that. So I'm going to go to the users in the MySQL Workbench, users table, hit the little wrench because I don't like doing the syntax. All right, it looks like password's already nullable, but looks like email is not. So we're going to uncheck that. So now email can be left empty, and that's okay. Cool. So now if I wanted to like do another user, I can just pass the name. Let me double check that that is working.
Hey,
There we go.
Josh, could you zoom in like 2 clicks? It's hard to read your API.
Yeah,
Thank
in
you.
here, right?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So
You're
I'm
good.
saying insert into users. So because I unchecked the email there, I can just pass a name. You know, if you were doing this in a real application, you'd have like a whole, like creating a user would be like a whole, it would be like this entire lab, you know, you'd be concerned with just that. And then getting into some authentication stuff. But since we're kind of, you know, doing a smaller version of that, we're just going to take that off. So name is all we have to pass here. So we'll just say name is coming from the username property, like that. We'll keep it in an object. Why not? And then the body here, we're going to uncomment. This is going to localhost 3000 /API/users. The body is going to be JSON.stringify new user, like that. Now I'm doing this async await style. So let's say const new user res equals fetch, all that stuff. And then let's just console.log the new user res and see what the response is. Because if I can do this from the front end, then we should be good.
Will
I'm
you
gonna
refresh my memory on what the stringify does again?
Stringify converts JavaScript objects to a big JSON string, pretty much
Okay.
just a giant string.
That's what I figured. I was just making sure.
Cool. All right, so Handle chirp submit. So we're going to try and click handle or submit a chirp. It's going to take the user, try and send the user, and we're just going to see if we can get this type of object back in the browser, because then I can move on to the next chirp of like using that for the chirp insert. Alrighty, so let's go over to the browser. Okay, wait, there we go. Let's refresh, see if I broke something already. Looks like I did. Please inspect. What's happening? This is not good. What did I do? No. Oh. Up, up, up. Good. Yeah. Well, it's also good when the inspector won't show up. That's also super cool.
Is it because you're in localhost 3000 and not localhost 3000 / whatever?
No. Did I break something? I don't know, dude. What did I break here? No errors in here. Somebody help me if you see it. Okay. If the inspector's up now, we're back in business. All right. You guys were getting this earlier, regenerator runtime. This is like we're not going to focus on this. We're just going to like fix this. It's something to do with like Webpack and polyfills and all this crazy business. That importing that up at the index.js of the client folder. So like the main entry point, hopefully that'll just fix that. We don't have to worry about that. We're not going to focus on that too much. All right, so I'm going to enter a username in here and we're going to hit chirp it and then check the console. Hopefully that object comes back. Chirp it. Yeah, I forgot to hit await. So this is a promise. You have to await it. That's why I'm getting promised there. So refresh. Blah, blah, blah. Chirp it.
You know, I ran into that exact same problem, only instead of await, I forgot to put async.
At the time, yeah, classic, dude. It happens all the time. Dealing with promises, I know, is super crazy difficult, but yeah, I mean, honestly, you just eventually learn what's going to happen with them. I know it's an awful answer, but okay, so we're res.json sending back. Let me convert this. So let's like await user res.json so we can parse that and see if we can get a better object back. Yeah, me too, Andrew. Me too. All right, so there we go. We're getting the object back. This is that object that we were seeing over here. So I just had to like parse it. It's just JSON until we parse. There we go. So this is now we're kind of like back to where we just took off, where we put the ones in the chat. We're back at that point now. I've made the user, and from the browser, I'm getting this. This has the insert ID on there. Insert ID here. This is the ID of that user that we just made that I can now use in here. So we can go back, uncomment the chirp, bring this back up. We'll comment that out. And now new chirp user ID. This is, well, first I actually need to, since we need to await this, we need to do that. So let's say const. Bam. New user. Let's say new DB user or something. I don't know. Right. So this is the user from the database. Let's come back. We've parsed it. Now the user ID for that is new user from DB dot insert ID. So now that's going to use that number as the user ID for that. The content is the message. We're going to hard code the location. Please don't make me fix that. They're just going to be from Birmingham. All right. And now we're down to the fetch for the chirps. So method post, same body here is this chirp object. So same thing we did for the user, JSON.stringify new chirp. Again, we need to store the response, make sure that all works. Const new chirp res equals await that. We'll come down and console.log the response from the server there. And if I get a similar object back, then the new chirp is being inserted. So cool. Let's do await new chirp res dot JSON. Y'all stop me. I've asked a couple of times for any questions. If you guys have anything you want to go over again, after this, we're doing final projects. So this will be the time to ask. So is everybody like feeling kind of half solid on this? Maybe kind of a little bit. This is like REST. This is like how you should be sending things, having separate endpoints for inserting a user, having a separate endpoint for that. And if you need to do two things at the same time, it's two different requests. That's pretty normal, or at least it goes with like REST as a standard, which is all this. I know you guys don't know I'm talking about REST, but it's like a thing. All right, so cool. Let's try and send this, see what happens. So now we can go back and actually enter in both fields. The username is going to be Barrett's Onion. And
That's pretty accurate, I'd say.
what's that?
The content there for Garrett's Onion.
This is what it would say as it was being eaten.
Yeah.
All right, so if I hit chirp it and we get the object back down here, then we're golden. Good. So now this is the insert ID for the new chirp, right? We don't really need this for anything on the front end, but now that we're getting it, then I know that we're good. If I go back and hit refresh, hopefully we see, I think I have mine in backwards. So I think the new one would be at the bottom. So there's our new chirp. And that is post finished. If I wanted like the newest one to be at the top as well, I could probably like reverse these when we fetch them. Since this is the array, I can say reverse on here. And probably get the new one at the top, right? Yeah, there we go. Okie dokie. Cool. So now we're at the point where I think I want to split this off. I'm gonna like collapse this handle chirps mix since it's massive. And also since we're kind of constrained where we have to refresh the page to see the new chirp, what I'm going to do now is take the part of my code that fetches the chirps to be displayed on the page, like the all chirps thing that we did first. I'm going to strip this out into a function that we can call multiple times, or, call at different times that we want to. So let's put that function down here. I'm going to call it fetch chirps. And paste this in here. Now so it literally just does the same thing. It fetches the chirps, sets them, all that, except now I'm just going to call that here on the use effect. Just call that here. And then also at the end of when I'm posting, I'm also going to call them again. And this will give me that effect of when I post, I automatically see the new one directly in there without having to reload the page. So now if I reload, get that new code in there, make a new user, new thing. And then when I click it, it just refetches, right?
And you said that's just to keep it from doing that on load, like every single time the page loads up? Or is that mainly for like organization?
It's just for, I just want to see like when I hit submit, I don't want the user to have to refresh to see what they just made.
Okay.
I want to see it automatically. So then it just makes sense to kind of like take this out, this fetching that we're doing in the use effect, just make it a function because then we can call it at different places, like in the use effect. So to get the chirps initially on page load, and then if they make a new one, call it again.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Now we're at the point where I need to see like a single chirp. So I want to have something on the side of each of these where I can go and like view that single chirp. So for that, since we're going to have another page technically, and I don't want to do like a conditional render, we're going to have to do like some React router stuff, front end routing. And I hadn't really thought about what to do there. I'm going to try and do it with like a home component. We're going to move all this that we currently have over to like a home component. And apologies in advance if I have to move like a bunch of state stuff around, but we're going to try it.
I think I was talking to Maggie yesterday, and would it be like maybe put how we did in the Ghibli API where we just had the cards with see more, and maybe that see more could put you onto a single,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of like
Yeah.
an easy way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But the problem is that like our app level needs to hold the React router stuff.
Right. And then we have to have these in components.
Right. And so I mean this has to go somewhere.
Yeah. All
Like
this
I could probably cram it in the same one, but that wouldn't be good at all,
yeah,
really.
because the app is where all the routing is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So components. I don't know. This is going to take a second, so get even more comfortable than you already are. Pages. JSX. Say constant equals.
Hey, Josh,
What's up, dude?
this is off topic, but your IntelliSense plugin for like auto completing your code, do you know what that is off the top of your head?
So the one that I'm using at the top there is called React Snippets, like ES7 React Snippets.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest of it, I don't know. I mean, that thing that I use over here, this is called GitHub Copilot. It's like in
Okay.
beta, and that's what's doing like the auto completing like this, if it starts to work, where it's like
Okay.
auto completing whole sections like this.
You probably wouldn't recommend that unless you're already like comfortable with the code though, I imagine, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it can be helpful, but it's pretty good. So it will literally sometimes code whole sections out, especially once it's pretty clear what you're doing. It'll like
Mhm.
auto complete it for you.
As
Like a
long as it's
whole,
not like a handicap.
so it like basically auto completes like whole blocks of code for you kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't let you guys use it here because it's like you're trying to learn the core
Of
fundamentals.
course, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. All right. So cool. That's a home component. That'll be simple. Let's actually leave that home in there so I can kind of get this wired up correctly. Now let's try and take this over here and put it into the home component. Since that's kind of where we're going to have everything. I'm trying to realize what I had even in here. Yeah. So we dump that out. And then we'll move that over here. So much to do. So much to do. Yeah, we're going to move that over. I'm going to cut this out of here. Move it over to home. Or replacing all that. Move this over to home. Cool. Now over an app, let's try and configure. I already know I'm going to need this over in the home. So let's just cut this out of here and move it over there. Give it a moment. All right, so the home component's kind of, we already know it's working. It's literally what was just an app, but now we're going to try and make app the React router situation. So use state, use effects. Trying to get this like where it's going to work. All right, what's now? So first, I don't think we even have React router in this project, so we're going to have to install that. npm install react dash router dash dom. Cool, that's done. All right, we'll import all the stuff from there, or at least the stuff I can remember off the top of my head. All right, let's keep that off. What do we need? What do we need? What do we need? We need browser router and routes and route. All right, so we'll return down here. And we're trying to just configure the basic like React router stuff. So that is a browser router component. Be the whole thing. Cool. Let's do that. There we go. Nested in that, we're going to have some routes. If you're confused, the React router documentation is pretty solid, especially in the getting started. So this is what we're going for. Routes with some stuff. So route, path, and element. Had to remember the property names. So this is not self-closing. We're nesting everything inside of it. Boom. That's awful. All right. Then we'll put the route for home right here. The path will be the home route. So path equals just an empty slash. And the element is the home element. I think we actually need to render it. I also need to get it into this file. So slash path. And then we need to import that from the pages. Cool. All right, let's see if that works. So at this point, we should at least be able to see like the same thing, literally the same thing on the page, but coming from React Router instead of from all that other stuff. Says can't resolve this pages. I don't know if I need to do that. I think I need to add .jsx for this guy. Make sure this actually doesn't work before I start trying to fix a bunch of stuff. Okay. Can't find module chirp card over here because the path is different. So out of pages. There we go. All right, there we are. Let's test this, make sure I can still make one. I can, good. So now we're working from React Router, browser router, all that stuff. So cool. Now this gives me the flexibility to go and make another page for the single chirp. So we make a single chirp component. And this is where we're going to do all of our editing, deleting, and then obviously fetching just the one to pre-fill everything. Let's make this like a simple little component here so that I can see some stuff. What do y'all do when you be right back? Where do you go? Since it's like everybody, I just wonder where everybody goes. You know, is it like a bathroom break thing? Is it like just like you just turn your camera off and just like, you know, it's like take a second to breathe.
I have a stress vomit container right here. So anytime I really get too stressed on these walkthroughs, I can kind of just like lean over real quick. And, you know, I think that's most people as well too.
Yeah. I remember, man. Yeah.
My watch tells me if I haven't stood in the past hour.
What'd you say, Nicholas?
My watch tells me if I haven't stood at least once, at least for a minute during this hour.
Yeah, I have my
So,
watch that tells me that. It's nice. It's a good thing.
This job is I didn't realize that could happen a lot.
You know, this lab has taken up about 3 days, and the amount of caffeine abuse I've
Oh,
committed. I'm talking like
After
a
the-
gallon of cold brew, like it's not normal behavior.
yeah, I got to cut back on coffee after this class.
Where you say you just sigh. You turn the camera off and just. I did the same thing, and I mean I'm here now, and I can at least do it, right? I can,
This
I
lab's
can
done about
vomit it onto you guys.
like 2 months off my lifespan, I'd say, just from the caffeine abuse.
Man, I feel bad for you guys. Sorry, I wish it was easier. Okay, so we're trying to route up a single chirp component. So I have like just a basic one here, so we can go back over here. Route. Now the path for this guy is going to have to be, there we go, double quotes, slash, I don't know. Probably to make it like look, kind of make sense. We'll do slash chirp slash colon ID. And then the element we want to render, if they go to something like that, is the single chirp. Let's bring that in up here. Yeah. And then we're trying to render single chirp. We gotta close this. Okay, so just to see this in the browser, I can just come up here. There's no way to get here currently like through the application, but I can go slash chirp slash, and then really anything. Let's just do a 1, and that should bring me to my, see. Okay. I'm glad we did this because this is a good kind of gotcha. Remember, if you see anything like this in the browser, this is the response from Express, your server. It thinks you're doing a server request. So we need to fix that. We need to tell it if you get a request and it isn't a request for an API or any of the normal stuff, just send back the HTML because it's a front end request. So we're going to put star right here. If I remember correctly, I might have to go double check that. And whenever they do that, let me go check this because actually I'm going to end up telling you guys wrong. Cool. Oh yeah. So we don't really actually don't need that path on there. We're just gonna say callback rec res next arrow and then res dot send file. And I'm just gonna redirect it over to the index HTML file. I'm referencing like an old one that I have here. So we're just gonna send it back the HTML and it will look like it didn't do anything, like it doesn't refresh or anything. It's just gonna not go anywhere. Where are we at?
Did you mean to duplicate res for parameters and?
Nope.
Okay.
Thank you. That was the problem. Good job. All right, let's come back over here now. Hopefully, if I refresh this, we just get the page right. Or no, good. Let's just go back here. If it's doing this, it's probably because. Hmm. Hmm. I'm pretty sure that if we just tied it to the button, I think the problem here is that I'm going straight to chirp one from the address bar. So it'll probably fix it even if I don't do this. I might just try and do that. Yeah. Hmm.
Isn't the issue that you have the public twice in the path? Or that's what it looks like to me, because you have a. Or maybe not.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix this and they've done like some like April Fool's joke on Stack Overflow. I can't see anything. It's like all hidden.
You can change it back to normal if you need to.
How?
At the bottom, they have the toggles that you can
thank
do
you.
the different,
Okay.
and it's all the way to the left.
Thank you, man.
Trust me, I had to use Stack Overflow today. So.
I'm like, I'm in front of 35 people right now. Can they not be playing jokes on me? Ah,
They said April Fools.
haha, this is funny. It's probably not even correct. Client. No clients. No. Dang it. Overall objective is to try and get to the HTML file. That's what I've been trying to do for like 30 years. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Now we're back in business. All right. So what's going on here is it's saying like it's passing all these. Remember when you're working in Express, the request starts at the app initialized. and works its way down where it starts trying to find a match. If like everything that I need to be doing is in these three, really. So if it gets down, if a request gets down to here, like what it was doing for the front end request, if it gets down to here, I'm just telling it, just send back the HTML because the only thing that's getting down here is React Router. All right. Cool. So any questions on that? Sorry, took so long. Alrighty. Cool. So we're getting the single chirp up. Now in here, we're doing kind of like what we did on the React Router stuff earlier, where I just need to get the correct chirp to show up in this component. So I'm going to need React Router in here again to use params. So import, because that's what we're going to use to strip the ID off. Or actually, we need to take a step back after I write this out. I need to take a step back because we're not even getting the right one up inside the URL currently. So let's go back to home. Home is showing. From here, I need to link them over to the correct one that's in Chirp card. So yeah, Chirp card. I need to have some kind of button in here that's like Kaylee was talking about, like show the single one. Show details, or I think what they show, we'll call it admin options, because it's like going to give us the, whatever. It's fine. So admin options, when we click on that, oh, this should be a link. Let's import that here. We're going to change this to a link from React Router so that we can link them over to that page that we just spent 30 years making. Blah, 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 to /chirps/ and then I need to plug in the ID right here. And I forget how to do this. There we go. Template literal. And so to be able to pass the correct ID right here, I need to have the ID as a prop that is coming from home. That's where the props are passed. So I'm going to make a new prop here. That equals chirp.id as well. I could use the key, but that would be weird. And then over here, I need to add that up here. So then ID is getting passed as a prop. Now I can use that ID to link it over. So at this point, we should see an admin options on each one. Obviously, I can make that look better. If we wanted to, we could wrap this as a button. Haley, you already said you had Bootstrap in here. Is that right? Yeah, you do. My bad.
Yeah, it's linked up already.
Button dark. Let's do class name. Jake, I'm not calling you guys out. I'm just curious. Gosh. Cool. All right. So cool. Now, if I click that, you can see the link at the bottom left, right above the inspector window. That's the different IDs for each one. So yeah, we should be good. So now we're going to the correct one. You can see, go over here. I was actually hoping to see, do I have the correct link? /chirp. I think it should just be chirp. Okay. So from here, what now? We're on this page. We have the correct ID. So now we can go back over to single chirp and actually use the ID that we're getting. So let's go back, show all of them. Stop being chirps. Yeah. The 266. We're getting a different one for each different chirp. Showing the correct component. Good. Now I just want to strip that off. So now we go over to our single chirp page and use params. So we're going to say const ID, destructuring out of that. So getting the ID off of that. And then from there, we want to use this ID to fetch hit our server, because we built that route to get a single chirp. So we'll first have to have some kind of state to put it in. So chirp, set chirp. Let's use state. Need to make sure that that's imported up here. All right. And then we want to fetch. So I also am going to need use effect. So we'll come over here, use effect, write the callback. We just wanted to fetch the one time. So do the empty array here. And run a fetch. I'm going to do backticks because we're going to have to plug in the ID onto the end. http:// host 3000 /API/chirps/ that ID. That should give us that one chirp matching that ID. Then with that response, convert it to JSON. With that chirp object, set it to state. Hold up, chirp. And catch the error. All right, so now when I load up this component that we were doing just a moment ago, I should be able to see in state in the components, I should be able to see that chirp object in there. So let's, I guess, go back. I don't know. Go over here, components, make sure I select single chirp over here, and then I don't have anything over here. So that makes me sad. I'm going to initialize that as an object. Set chirp, use effect. Do that. There's the ID from the parameters. We do have the parameter there. There we go. So I guess now it works. All right, so let's open that up and then there we go. So there's the chirp that matches that. Let's go to a different ID, make sure that we're getting a different one. Single chirp, components, hit the single chirp, open that up, getting a different one. Good. So now we're fetching the data on the single chirp page and we can take that and kind of start styling stuff up. Haley was super nice and styled things to make them look nice, but I'm not nice and I'm not going to. I'm going to make a container and kind of keep the same Ghibli stuff. So hopefully that will at least be there, but. Oh yeah, let me see if we stand there. What does it look like now? I think it's in French, that's weird. That's correct. Can't you find that image? No form. I guess we could do a form. So from this page, from the single chirp page, I want them to be able to delete the chirp and then edit it. Probably one kind of quick way to make that work or look vaguely similar is to copy the form from over here. And then I'll just fill in the values of the form when I fetch the chirp details. You'll see what I mean in a second. So let's go over here, single chirp. Inside the container, we're making another row. Closing that row. And so we have a form on here, just like on the other page. Didn't like that at all. Yeah, okay. Yeah, actually this input is for the username. I'm not going to allow them to edit the username. So they can just edit and then where it says chirp it, it's just going to say save, edit, or just save. That's fine. More errors, make sure it's not gone. The message is not defined. So yeah, my state value here, this state value is for like updating this. I'm just going to comment this text area out. I just want to see that the form is visually looking good. Yeah, all the functions, none of these are going to work. So let's just remove that for now. Good. All right. Obviously that would need to be there. Let's take that value out. Is that possible? Good. Okie dokie. So that save is going to be like save the edit. And then when we fetch the chirp details, I'm just going to pre-fill this box with those details. So we already have the components and the chirp that they're talking about in here as content. So I really just need to set this thing to whatever this is so they can start editing it, right? Because the purpose here is to edit the chirp. So we're going to bring back in value of message and create that. Yeah. Okay. And since we're setting that, I can just replace message here with chirp.content. I'm thinking this will be difficult to update. I'm going to kind of separate this out because if I do that, then whenever I update this, it's going to be a struggle. Garrett, are you okay? Are you all right? Jesus. Oh no. Oh, no. Well, you took one, man. Good job. All right. All right. All right. I'm going to set this off as a separate state value so it's easier to update from here. Because if I don't, I'm going to have to like reset this entire object with all the other details in there. So let's not do that. Const. We'll say. Yeah, honestly, let's just do a message. Message, set message. I'll add it as an empty string. And then we can actually break this down into two steps. Whenever I fetch the chirp, I'm going to also set message to chirp. And back down here, this just becomes message. Oh, undefined. Mm. Oh, okay. So let's not do that. Chirp, it's wrapped in an array because it's coming from, that's just what the MySQL module just sends back an array with one object in it. So I'm actually just going to set these both to just the first index because you can see this is an array with one object in it. It's always going to be one object. So we're just going to hard code it as 0. And that's why I'm getting undefined here because I was saying, yeah, content doesn't exist. There we go. Let's refresh that. Now we're pre-filled over here. And yeah. Man. I look up at you guys, everybody's like gone, or you guys are just like playing video games now, right? Is anyone still with me? Halfway?
My eyes are glazed over, but I'm here.
I was following along very intently up until the part where I
Yeah.
didn't finish the lab. And from that point on, I usually kind of follow along looking at my codes and looking at what you're doing. And then I kind of just got lost in the sauce, you know? So I'm
I
probably gonna
understand.
have to go over the walkthrough and go over
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. While you guys are doing your final projects, you can reference this back, but I understand if you're just watching. I mean, I don't understand how you could watch this and just get it. But all right. Okay, so they have that pre-filled. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the delete button down here because I want to do that first because I just want something to work. Just want to see something positive happen. All right, delete. Chirp is going to be a button probably stacked on top of it now. No, good. It's beside it. All right, cool. Let's throw some margin on these. Yeah, my brother's taking a boot camp right now, and they have to stay in a Zoom call. So like the co-working space, it would be like I made it mandatory all day, cameras on. So that's how
Yeah,
they
just
do it.
remember our leadership training was 2 days of 9 hours straight of cameras on. And about half of that was us drawing photos of football. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. 3 things about us drawn on a notepad with pencil, and then we'd all hold them up on the camera and then explain it. It was awful.
We went from kindergarten
That
to
was a
this.
trip.
I like how you couldn't see anything anyone had drawn because everybody has the blur background on and it could never focus on the sheet of paper.
It was like we all had
So it
like
was,
collectively
you know,
1 day of Zoom experience, so
yeah.
everyone's webcams weren't set up.
I remember. Haley. It's pretty terrible. Okay. What now? Okay, so delete chirp, let's just make that work. So when they click delete chirp, I'm going to run a function. We're going to write that function to delete the chirp. It's going to take the ID of which one to delete. Yeah, that'll be fine. So it takes the ID and we're going to run a fetch request. Yeah, I'm going to do it with just .thens just to be consistent everywhere. So when we want to delete one, we go to HTTP. / the ID. Let's do backticks then. Because remember, it is part of the URL. Curly's right there, plug in the ID, and then .then. So we're going to get that response back of like success or something. So So honestly, that'll be fine. I mean, I could do it then and just console log it, I guess. Res- All right. So that's that. That will send that over, send the delete. It'll delete it and come back with a response. I don't really care what the response is because we're just going to deal with it. Console log response. Now to use this, we're going to come down and on this button, when they click it, I'm going to add an on click listener. Yeah, on click equals curly braces because we're going to write the JavaScript. Anonymous function that calls delete chirp and then pass in the ID. An ID right here is coming from use params up here. So this is the ID of the one to delete. We're using it to fetch the chirp here and also to delete the chirp down here. Yes, correct. Andrew, you're saving my life, dude. Thank you. On this, I need to enter in the method is delete. That would have been a GET request. Delete. There we go. Word. All right, cool. So if we're deleting this one, maybe what I can do instead of just doing this, let me look at React Router. We can use history.push and like get back to the home page instead of just sitting here. Let's try that. Router history push. That's in V5. History and locations. That sounds about right. Yep. I just want to go somewhere else. It's just history, right? No. That's right. I couldn't remember. Sorry. Use navigate. Navigate. That's right. I didn't watch the lectures. That's my fault. Okay, let's pull that hook in then. So we want to navigate somewhere. We pull in use navigate. From there, we can say const navigate equals use navigate. Right? Navigate, let navigate equals use navigate. And then when you submit some stuff, navigate success. Is it like a success page? Guessing that's correct. Okay, I was just making sure I could pass this a URL, not like some string. So navigate back to the slash will take us back to the home page, preferably, hopefully. So let's keep that up in case this is broken. Let's refresh. Delete chirp. Okay. We got an error. New. Yeah, tell me that doesn't exist. What did they do over there? Is it worth it to do this? Let's see. Navigate invoices. Stop redirecting. Good Lord. Arc. All right. Let's refresh this and opens. Will you stop it? I have in here. Used. All right. Wasting too much time on that. We're not going to worry about it. We'll just have to go back home. Once we do that. Yeah, they're deleting successfully, but yeah, we got rid of 10. So they're deleting successfully, but I'm not going to bother doing that because it's already 5:11. So let's try and edit and then we'll be done. Const edit chirp goals. That's going to send a fetch request to the same thing. Really, it's going to be mostly the same. So I'm going to copy this over like that. The ID stays up there. Method is put. Then we'll get a response back. So in this case, I actually need to pass it some extra stuff. I'm going to break this down to a new line because we're sending it some stuff. So I need to set the headers to what we did for the post. Headers there, and then the body needs to be. I'm actually gonna need to go check. It's gonna be JSON.stringify something. But what? When I'm doing a put, what did I allow them to send? Yeah, that's all the same from the old one. Let me check my API. Router dot put. Just the ID and the content, which is convenient now because that's all I really want to allow them to edit. And that's getting edited through message. I actually need to create the handler so that when they update stuff. So this is just the old handler stuff that we have to do to update the state values in React. And we'll scroll down here. Handle message change. Do that. On the text area, let me double check the state, make sure that that is doing that. So options, single chirp. This is post 9. And as I type, we're not updating. So that is a problem. Change, handle message change. Set message and the value. Type message. So why do you not work? There we go. So now the state is updating. So now I can use the state value of message down here to send that off. So when I JSON.stringify here, what I'm sending is message. We'll get the response back, console log the res. Come back. And then when they click the save button here, I want to call edit chirp. I could probably leave that without that. Yeah, we'll have this pass in the ID. That's fine. Oh, sorry. ID. I'll say content. That's better. Content. That's going to be content. Just changing this over to use a parameter instead. Since we're writing the function, we might as well. ID and message. So both of these are state values now. So we'll pass both those in. All right. So let's go back here. We edit the post. This is post 9. Been edited. Let's save. It does something. I don't know what the hell that's doing to refresh the page. It's the form, dude. Dang it. Ah, that's stupid. Okay, so. Probably going to make this look weird, but I'm going to take this outside this form because it's frustrating me. What does it look like? Okay, same. So see if it fixes that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think when I send this content, I need to send it as an object like I was doing from over here. So we'll send it, we'll see. And there's the edited chirp. All right, that is it. I think I've literally lost everyone now. You guys are literally just talking random shit in the chat. So
I'm here. I think I'm following along a little bit here and there, but then it gets to are you laughing?
yeah,
I was trying to
just-
follow along.
I can't follow along fluently with all of it, but I'll pick up on some stuff. I definitely think like going through my code while watching the walkthrough video is going to be the move.
cool.
Yeah, that's worth that.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do that too.
Well, I understand. Well, okay, so we did want to talk about some final project stuff. So any more questions on this stuff before? Or actually, let's just go ahead and talk about the final project stuff. And if you have a question about this, just stick around after.
Yes, did a good job, Josh.
I don't know about that. I mean, we
No,
definitely-
you did. It's just that it goes over our heads because we haven't seen a lot of
I-
it before. So
I know.
And
I
as
wish
big
I
as
could've
this,
broken- yeah.
as big as this lab was, you did it in a very timely manner.
Yeah. You'll get there, guys. Just stick with it. Cool. So the stuff we wanted to talk about, Haley, do you want to go ahead and share that document with them? Please send it out in the web dev channel in Slack. Yeah, it's a long one. It's 1 hour and 40 minutes or something like that. 50 minutes. But we did watch Garrett eat an onion at the beginning. It wasn't just me blabbing. So what Haley is going to send out to you guys now, I think, is cool. That is a proposal sheet. So the format that we take for you guys in your final project, like the application that you're going to build, you have to fill out one of these proposal sheets. So what you guys are going to do over the weekend, and I mean that like over the weekend, you guys need to come together, find a time to come together. I recommend you guys make like a Discord channel, something for yourselves to communicate. Or you can through Slack as well. But you'll need to come together, come up with an idea, and fill out one of these proposal sheets. So let me pull that up over here. Here's what that looks like. If you want to take this and make a copy and work from here, that's fine. But there's some basic things that you need to fill out. So you're going to fill out one of these forms for each idea that you have that you will send to Garrett, Haley, and I. We will review it and then tell you if it's approved as a project idea. So everybody, make sure you understand, like you have to have approval on your project before you start anything at all. That's so that we don't let you guys get in over your heads or do something that's way too easy. Because this does need to be kind of a full stack, full project. It has to have some kind of database, some kind of back end, and obviously a front end will be there. But so in this proposal, you just need to fill out an overview of what the application is. Set some goals. These goals should be things that the thing will do. So it's not like it'll have a back end. It's like the application can, if it's like a Facebook, it's like you can make an account, add a friend, friends can see each other's timelines, something like that. Those would be separate goals in here. So it's things the application can do. From there, we scroll down some specifications. These are going to be like specifications are technical details on technologies used. So third-party APIs. So if you guys decide like you want to use something like the Ghibli API in your project, you'll list those out here and detail how you're going to use them. That gives us the ability to tell you like, hey, this thing sucks, don't do that. Or so on and so forth, things like that. So yeah, if there are things like that that you guys know ahead of time that you're going to have, list them out in here. And then down here are the actual development milestones. These are kind of like steps that you're going to take in the process of crafting the application. So I'll say this to you guys now, and I'll tell you again on Monday morning, but the way that you guys need to start your final projects is start with the database first, and then do their back end, and then do the front end. And then along with starting with the database. So if like you guys got your project approved on Monday morning or before then, even if, that'd be great. Then the first thing that you should start working on is a wireframe of your website, which let's go over what a wireframe even is.
While you pull that up, could I say if anyone doesn't have access to the student Discord channel, the cohort 16 like student Discord channel, could you message like me or Reed or Nathan or I know PJ's in there. Jay, like could you message one of us so we could add you to it? That way we can all make our own Discord channels for our individual groups.
I don't have access.
I mean, if you want to join?
No, I'm good. I want to scroll back up through there. See all the
Is it in-
frustration.
We say only nice things about our instructors, unless it's Matt Landers. Actually.
Is it in the general section for cohort 16? On the Discord?
Yeah, I just want to add, I know some people still haven't joined, and I was going to like make a Slack channel for like my individual team and add everyone, but I actually don't think we have privileges to make groups in Slack, so I was just gonna do it through Discord.
Yeah, Discord's probably the best place to do it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
do it through
So
Discord.
if anyone here isn't in the student Discord channel, just hit someone up and we'll send you an invite.
Reed made one, I believe, it was just like a group message for everyone. And it looks like we can call people in there and everything, but I'm not sure how well the like share screen and stuff works. So
Are you talking about Slack or Discord?
yeah, when you messaged us all in Slack.
I
You
don't
guys
have
work.
the.
I believe you guys. You'll work it out.
Yeah, I think that's the Discord that they're talking about.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
guys know
if
your
we-
teams now. You can communicate through Slack and figure out to make a Discord server for yourselves if you want, or you guys all have like a giant class one. You can make groups in there if you want to. But I think we're all on the same page.
You'll want to be able to communicate like whenever, like any time of the day or night for the next 2 weeks with your teammates. So just
Yeah.
have that accessibility somehow.
You have to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you can't communicate with your team easily, figure out a way to do that. Easiest way is through Discord. All right, so back on websites, wireframes. You see kind of this general thing here. It's like it's a very rough sketch, but it shows what each page is. So the main things that you're dealing with are making your database, you're designing your database, like understanding the tables that we're going to need, what are the foreign key relationships that we need to place in here. So there will be one section of the team that's working on that. There will be another section of the team that is mocking up the website in terms of what pages exist, what pages need to be built for this to work. And then what do those pages kind of roughly look like? You don't have to have the text, but I know like, okay, there's going to be an image over here, a little bit of a box here. So stuff like that. It doesn't have to be designed perfectly, but just literally rough boxes of what each pages look like or what each page looks like. Yeah. And we can help you build these. So
I can show off my wireframe of the website if you want.
go for it. I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Josh, do you guys have examples or templates of some other work that some of the other courses have done, other cohorts?
No, good question. No, there is. I'll look through. Haley, didn't we say we're going to try and find some repos and websites for press teams?
Yeah.
I don't know if I asked you that, but
Yeah, you did. I can talk to my cohort and see if I can find their GitHub for them. But you can definitely watch like the previous like demo days just to see like the projects. But But as far as, yeah. But
Where would we
I'll
find that?
try to. I'll put those in the Slack.
Cool. I'll try and find some repos over the weekend so we can actually look at some code on Monday.
Okay, y'all see this?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is Figma. Basically, you're just putting shapes in here to make it look like a website. So you got
And let
like
me say also,
rectangles.
like this is a mock-up. This is not a wireframe. So like scroll over, Garrett, to where you have like a finished one. Like that's what the page looks like, literally.
Mhm.
So that is a mock-up. It's a one-to-one design representation. A wireframe is like if he took, like there was no image. It was just like an X right there. It's like background image, the text, a text block. So even rougher than what this is.
Yeah,
sorry,
like
go ahead.
say this is a nav bar, and then we want like an image on here. So we put like this and we give it a color. We're like, okay, this is the image. And then oh, go back. And then we're like, so yeah, we got it's white. Okay. Why is it not?
It's basically just like building a template.
You
for your
guys get the idea.
website. Yeah, so you'll just like block out on a sheet. This is where we want to have like our user login. This is where we want to have where we, whatever your app is supposed to do, this is where this functionality is going to go on the page. So we kind of have an idea of how your web page will look, but it doesn't have to have any sort of like filler. Just, you can just put like nav bar, login, form here, whatever.
Yeah, like this is
Media
just
player.
this is just a combination of shapes made to look like a website. Like you can see like right here, this is where like the hamburger menu is. I just kind of put a shape there to indicate that. Then like down here.
So it's
Um,
basically paint for coding.
Every time I do the mock-up showcase, I forget about this dude, and then we see it and we laugh. But yeah. Yeah, you're basically just putting shapes together to make it look like a website. And then you're like, okay, this is what we want it to look like. We're gonna go try and do this, right? Cool.
That
It is-
interface
it
reminds
also-
me so much of paint.
It also just gets everybody on the same page as like what your like product is going to look like. So that everybody kind of knows what the common goal is, if that makes sense.
Okay, so let's I think they got it, Garrett. Let's see questions, fielding open questions. Anyone have anything? So the steps are going to be, you remember you can't do any of these before you have approval, right? So your first step is just going to be to brainstorm with your team on ideas for what your projects could be. Try and think in terms of something. Feel free to message me over the weekend if you want to ask like, hey, is this like too much to do or something? Because it's hard to gauge. You're better off messaging one of us and kind of getting an idea first. Because some things seem easy, like tic-tac-toe, right? And then you do it. It's like a shit show. So yeah. Well, Haley, Garrett, anything else?
I think my biggest piece of advice would just be like, find something that you know or are passionate about, because it really translates well. Because if you can like for instance, last cohort, we had a team that was really like knew a lot about skincare. And so they were able to use that and bring in an API and build like something that they knew a lot about. So if you know a lot about, I don't know, like or if you're passionate about something, those are some things that you can kind of be thinking about as options.
Don't eat a raw onion.
Passionate about onions, yeah.
I was about to say Garrett's gonna be making a website about onions.
If you are, just think of something that you would like to see done, but like in an innovative way. Think about, I don't know, just it's hard to come up with an idea, but just think on things that you already know. And
while you're thinking on if you find something that you're passionate about, try to look up APIs that are associated with that. There's probably already been like a free API that's been made that you can just use. That like that makeup team, they had an API that gave them all the data that they needed for products, how they relate to each other, all that stuff. So start searching on APIs, send those over to me or any of us. And yeah.
Also, don't get mad if your idea doesn't get picked. You'd think I wouldn't have to say that because we're
Oh,
all
yeah.
adults.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a team effort. Don't take over like the team and be super controlling. Everyone work together. This is like all of y'all's project, not just one person's. I am saying this like we are saying this from experience of teaching classes.
Yeah.
Be nice to each other.
In Scrum, they trained us just to use numbers. So if everybody has an idea, you can all do like a numbers method where you do an anonymous vote, like give it 1 to 5, ranking of hardest to easiest. And then that's a good anonymous and like unbiased way of saying, hey, this is a good idea, but it might be too hard, or it might be, so you can go that route. But yeah, but don't be afraid to speak up and pitch your idea either. Just say, hey, this,
So congratulations for making it through the curriculum. We're on the final projects.
Let me say this real quick.
Yay!
Congratulations, true. Yes. But no social media sites. So no social media. Hey, it's like Facebook for people who love onions. No. That's a blanket no. There's been too many. What else?
Recipe sites.
God, no recipe. It's a thing where I can get in my fridge and see what's in there and it'll spit recipes out. It's
We
been
get
done
one a
9
class.
times. Yeah. And you're gonna argue with me. So one of you are gonna
Wasn't-
come back and tell me.
Wasn't that a Silicon Valley scene?
I think so, yeah.
He
It's
turns
real.
around and he's like this one, and it's a refrigerator with a glass door.
Oh,
I really
yeah.
wanted to do a recipe one last semester or last cohort, and they shot it down. So they're not just saying that.
Yeah. All right. What else, Garrett? What else are the big ones? Music. If you can find something interesting with music, but please don't be like there's a band and there's show times. Like I don't want to hear it, please.
Yeah.
What else? I think that's it.
That's the big 3.
Yeah, it's the recipe is the big one. But all right, guys, we've kept you for like 2 hours now. So have a good weekend. Work with your teams, please. Like, oh yeah, okay. This will be the literal last thing, I promise. Work harder at the start of your final projects. We have demo day the Thursday after next. You do not want to waste any time on doing anything. So get with your teams this weekend, find some time to brainstorm some ideas, pitch those over to me. But when we take off on Monday and you're approved, waste no time. You're going to feel way better when you have kind of something like viable towards the end of next week. Right. So, yeah.
Demo day is in front of people. Like it'll be live streamed. It'll be like your family will be watching it, all of that. So,
Make them proud.
Don't wait till the last second.
But we're not going to let you wait till the last second, but
Yeah.
don't make me tell you that next week. So we'll be checking in with you guys every day. So yeah, that is it. Y'all have a good weekend. I'll be in the co-working space on Sunday to cover anything you guys want. I'll send you guys a message and yeah, that's it. Have a good weekend.
Will you post this video
Of
either
course. Yeah.
today or tomorrow, just sometime?